Now.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me.
What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $18.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,303 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $578. Antiwar.com reports, adding to international criticism of Israel's construction in the occupied West Bank, the government of Israel has approved several hundred additional homes in the settlement there, both approving plans for 284 new homes to be constructed and retroactively legalizing some 179 homes built in violation of Israeli law in the Ofaram settlement. The new plans were criticized by Israeli watchdog Peace Now, saying that the current government is building settlements all over the West Bank and also sending the message that illegal settlements can continue to be built and be expected to be legalized after the fact. The U.S. State Department issued a statement saying that they were deeply concerned by the acceleration of settlement construction and in particular about the growing trend towards retroactive legalization, allowing Israel to expand settlement activity in a potentially unlimited way. The far-right government's trend towards retroactive legalization as a matter of course is indeed fueling a boom in pirate outposts, with self-described entrepreneurs bragging about going hilltop to hilltop in the Palestinian territory, tossing up a few trailers, and then waiting a few months for Israel to retroactively legalize the takeover of the land that the settlers never had any pretense of owning in the first place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports a state of emergency was declared in Hawaii Wednesday as the South Pacific Islands brace for Hurricane Madeline's impact. The storm is losing strength, but is still listed as a Category 1 hurricane, according to forecasters. On Wednesday afternoon, Governor David Ige declared an emergency for his islands. On Wednesday night, residents were making preparations for the storm, which was expected to pass close by and perhaps make landfall on the Big Island of Hawaii. The Hurricane Center projects the storm to graze South Point on the Big Island, but a direct hit is also possible. The American Red Cross of Hawaii opened more than a dozen emergency shelters on the Big Island to accommodate those displaced by Madeline. On Wednesday afternoon, forecasters reported that Madeline was about 70 miles southeast of the Hawaiian shore and about 90 miles southeast of Hilo and was moving westward at 13 miles per hour. A hurricane warning and flash flood watch were issued for Hawaii Island. Weather Underground forecasters predicted up to 15 inches of rain in some parts of the Big Island and up to 4 inches in Maui. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the first scheduled commercial passenger flight from the United States to Cuba in more than half a century landed on Wednesday, opening another chapter in the Obama administration's efforts to improve ties and increase trade and travel with the former Cold War foe. A JetBlue Airways passenger jet arrived from Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara. The route may be a commercial challenge, at least initially, but it is the first of a plethora of new flights by various U.S. airlines to destinations in the communist-ruled island. U.S. Transportation Administration Secretary Anthony Fox. Other officials and journalists were aboard the 150-seat plane. Regular travelers, including some of Cuban descent, occupied nearly half of the seats on the flight to Santa Clara, a city with a population of about 200,000 people that is known for its monument to revolutionary leader Ernesto Che Guevara. While opening travel to cities like Santa Clara is seen as a foot in the door to expanding travel to some of the Cuban provinces, the market's big prize is routes to Havana, which Fox awarded on Wednesday. American Airlines was awarded the biggest portion. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry noted in a Twitter message that the flight took place just over a year after the flag was raised at the reopened U.S. Embassy in Havana. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new video game is being criticized for its harsh portrayal of barbed wire. Here's GameBite's Caitlin Torres with more.
Bethesda's The Evil Within is a nightmarish adventure that shows bloody and rusty barbed wire being used to hurt innocent people, which has angered the nation's barbed wire producers.
Barbed wire is a positive force for good. It protects our junkyards from scrap metal thieves and helps keep our cattle ranches safe from rustlers. But Bethesda thinks it's okay to ignore all the benefits of barbed wire and make it look like some scary thing used by murderers.
The designers have promised that the game will feature prominent messages extolling the virtues of the sharp steel fencing. But barbed wire groups say that it's too little too late.
If Bethesda wants to make this right, they should have the main character go behind a fence and then be safe from monsters because they can't climb over the barbed wire to get him. Now that's a game I would play.
Let's hope Bethesda listens.
Thanks, Caitlin.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris, and Conan.
And we will get into your calls here momentarily, but apparently there's something that's been floating around on the internet that I have absolutely not paid any attention to. But Conan apparently has seen this, and according to the YouTube video that he has sent me, about 6,000 other people have seen it as well, so hardly viral, but it basically there's a new social experiment, if you will, that pretty much reinforces every other social experiment that shows that people will do what other people are doing.
Yes. The idea is herd mentality, conformity, and how fast does it pick up? How fast do people fall into this? You know, this it's a very simplistic, and it looks like it's been dramatized and edited in such a way that it's probably not real. But this is based on an experiment that is real, and it has to do with herd mentality and conformity.
So there's a short video, less than 4 minutes. We're gonna play just a little bit of this, and then it's fairly audio friendly, but the visual parts we will explain to you. So here's this video, just under 4 minutes long, and I know what is happening. This is in the browser where I have to click something to then turn on the audio.
Click, click, click.
Clickety, click, click, click.
And nope. There we go. Hold on. So let's back this up.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this.
So they're all in a waiting room. There's probably about a dozen people, and there's one individual, a young lady. The camera's focused on her, and she is...
So there's one test subject.
Correct.
And everybody else in the room is in on it.
They're actors. They know what to do.
Right, and this is somewhat similar to the Ash experiments.
Correct.
To where they would have, I believe, either 11 or 12 people that were in on it, Confederates, if you will, where they were asked questions of which of these lines is longer, which of these is a different color? Which of these, and they would have everybody answer audibly. And the person that was the test subject, somewhere around 90 to 95% of the time, would give the obvious wrong answer because everybody else did.
Well, no,
also did.
At first, they would give the answer they thought was correct, and then everyone else would get the wrong answer. The actors would give the wrong answer, and the guy would be like,
maybe they're right.
Yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe
there's
I'm wrong.
something to this.
But they also had a part of the quiz to where people wrote down the answer without anybody else audibly speaking the answer. Just as sort of a test, or not a test, but a baseline.
Sort of a blind.
A baseline to see, okay, how many times does this person get it right when nobody else is giving them an audible cue of what the answer is or is not.
Correct.
So let's go back into this. And yes, Conan, you're absolutely right. This thing was, and so they took this from something else, because when we started it, they were in the middle of a sentence. So I would like to see what this actually came from, but we continue. So they're playing the beep again, and people are starting to stand up, and the test subject stands up.
After 3 beeps.
Knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens
beep
if we
and
take the group
stand.
away?
Elaine, please.
So now they're pulling people out of the room, and it's beeping, and people are standing, and they're removing people. No new people have come in to the room yet. So right now there are 2 people left. Beep, stand up. She's all alone.
Gone, and nobody is watching her except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do?
Beep. And she stood up, even though she's the only person in the room. She has no clue why she's standing. And now someone else has walked into the room. So there's the receptionist, who you could not see earlier, and 2 people sitting in the waiting room. The test subject stands. The next person is looking at a magazine. Beep again, and she stands, and now the guy's starting to pay attention.
It's like, what's going on? What are these people doing?
And he said, what are you doing? She said, everybody else was standing up. I thought I was supposed to, too. And a beep, and they both stand up.
So this is so you have the Ash experiment, but this is more similar to the 5 monkeys in a room with a ladder and some bananas.
The experiment that never happened, but people always say that it happened.
Well, it's based on a similar experiment where very similar, where monkeys were trained to do something that where I guess the outside force wasn't involved any longer, and the younger monkeys that were brought into the situation picked up on this unknown factor.
So learned behavior. But the 5 monkey experiment that you're talking about that circulates online all the time
did not happen, but it's
never happened.
But, it's
but the claim of this 5 monkey experiment is there's 5 monkeys, and there's a thing of bananas, and there's a ladder. And when one monkey tried to climb the ladder, he got a hose turned on him. And then eventually all the other monkeys started beating him to protect him from getting the hose turned on.
Hold on, stop that. All of the other monkeys got sprayed, so they were punished for this silly monkey climbing the ladder trying to get bananas. They didn't want to get sprayed any longer, so they started to beat up the monkey who would climb the ladder.
Okay, I've heard it both ways, but again, that did not actually happen. People are just making stuff up.
Well, we don't
based
know
on something that actually happened.
You guys had 2 different versions of the same experiment. Who's to say that one of those versions may not have taken place?
I've done searches on monkey experiment
on the internet.
And the only thing that I was able to find any evidence of is the one that he said actually did happen, to where there was an outside force, but it wasn't monkeys beating one another up for climbing a ladder.
they became aggressive. And I'm going to try to find that during the break. It's buried in here somewhere.
Yeah.
But that there is an experiment where monkeys became aggressive to other monkeys based on learned experiences from other monkeys that they were related to.
Right, and humans become aggressive because of learned experience.
Correct.
Sure.
And the question is, is this a good thing or a bad thing, or could it be a good thing? Can it only be a bad thing? Because as far as evolutionary conditions are concerned, if we're monkey men, we're cavemen, and you've got some rebel in the group who the tribal leader stands up and says mammoth, and you got this rebel who's like, what do you want us to do? And he's calling out the tribal leader. Well, he's going to get everyone killed or get himself killed, and he's not going to live on to make more caveman babies.
So basically what you're saying is nationalism is a learned behavior, and when Colin Kaepernick refuses to stand, people just get furious, and they don't know why they're furious.
It's not just a learned behavior, it's genetic. It's actually been passed down, and nationalists are going to do a better job surviving and producing offspring in this world than, say, the rebels and the people who question authority and the people who are always questioning, hey, maybe there is a better mousetrap that I could build. Maybe there's something I could do to make my life better. And people are going to look at him and be like, why are you always questioning things?
I'll challenge you on that after the break.
You're not supposed to say break. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. What are your thoughts? Learned experience? Not learned? Good? Bad? This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and negative articles can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. It happens a lot, and it's just not fair. But what can you do? ReputationDefender.com can help protect your good name. Get a free consultation now. Call 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system, and the analysis is absolutely free. Make the best things about you jump out in searches. Protect your personal and professional reputation, your business, and your income. Get your free reputation analysis from ReputationDefender.com right now. Call 800-831-0771. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com today.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,307 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $18.69 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $570 US. Silver is at its lowest price in 2 months, making for a great opportunity to buy more. Give Robertson Roberts a call today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome on conformity experiments, ones that either actually happened in reality or ones that you think may have happened but absolutely did not. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And if you have Bitcoin, I want you to download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. That is Jaxx, Jaxx. You can get it from jaxx.io or in the App Store of your choice. There's no wallet like it. This thing holds Bitcoin, Ether, and now Dash. And I'm hearing that there are supposed to be more currencies coming. There's also Shapeshift integration built into the app that allows for frictionless, easy exchange between currencies. It was created by Anthony Diorio, Free Talk Live listener and Chief Digital Officer of the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's easy to back up your wallet and recover funds with Jaxx, and Jaxx is striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live. That's jaxx.io.
So here is the study where the 5 monkeys with the ladder and bananas myth probably came from. There was a study done by G.R. Stevenson in 1967. Cultural acquisitions of specific learned responses among rhesus monkeys. He trained adult male and female rhesus monkeys to avoid manipulating an object and then placed individuals, naive animals, in a cage with trained individuals of the same age and sex and the object in question. In one case, a trained male actually pulled his naive partner away from the previously punishable manipulatum during their period of interaction, whereas the other 2 trained males exhibited what were described as threat facial expressions while in fear posture. When a naive animal approached the manipulatum, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, manipulatum.
The manipulatum?
Yes, that thing.
The item that would manipulate a negative response from the person doing the experiment.
Correct. The item that gave pain.
Yes.
When placed alone in the cage with the novel object, naive males that had been paired with trained males showed greatly reduced manipulation of the training object in comparison with controls. Unfortunately, training and testing were not carried out using a discrimination procedure, so the nature of the transmitted information cannot be determined, but the data are of considerable interest. And yes, I do find that extremely interesting because I think this is something we see in day-to-day behavior, human behavior. Like, for example, some guy not standing up for a silly flag song or pledging oath and allegiance to a flag, and everyone just loses their mind. It's a very strange concept that has actually gotten me, and as far as I am concerned, I can remember 2 positions, not jobs, but positions at a job, where I had to change positions because I'm the guy who's always asking questions, especially when I see something being done either wrong, it's either being done wrong, or there's a much, much better way to do it. And I'm that guy who's like, hey, why don't we try to do it this way?
Well, this is the way we've always done it.
Exactly. And that answer, it drives me insane. Oh, this is the way we've always done it. Why are you always rocking the boat, Conan? I'm like, because there's a better way to do things sometimes.
And not everybody is willing to accept change, and that's one of those things. And I think particularly in the workplace, we've always done it that way implies that we've all gotten used to doing it this way, and it's a nice, easy way to do it, and it gets us through the day.
But sometimes
nobody's ever complained that we needed more productivity or anything else.
And change is hard.
Change is always something that we have to process.
Well, I've had jobs before to where, I'm told, like, this is the way you do the job. Well, why is this the way? Well, because that's the way the handbook says to do it.
Sure.
Even though there are probably 5 different ways that you could do it that are just as good and probably more efficient, but no, the handbook says you have to do it this way, so this is the way you do it. If you do it any other way, you'll get written up.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, I think
unless you're the boss, because the boss is so you can't have too many roosters, too many chieftains in the hen house. You've got to have that one guy who is capable of making these types of decisions, but you can't have all your employees asking you questions every single 5 minutes. Otherwise, you have chaos.
And you may not want to have, depending on what you're doing or what you're producing or how you're doing it, you may not want to have things done 50 different ways because there may be other processes that depend on it. Let's say quality control. Let's say that there's 5 different ways to assemble a particular item. And if you do it one way, then it makes it very nice and easy for the checker to verify the quality of it. But if it's put together in a different order, maybe that obscures something that they could otherwise see. So I get where you guys are coming from. I take issue with your statement that the statist will be better prepared in the future because he is more adaptive, or he is fine as long as things go his way and he's not likely to rock the boat. Every time we've advanced, whether it's technologically or
it's someone rocking the boat,
it is that person who's rocking the boat.
And
so I think that's
why I honor the individual, because I know that's where changes come from. It's the conformer, it's the community as a whole that really holds us back as far as human evolution is concerned. It's the individual that takes us to the next level all the time. And the sad thing is that either that person becomes a tribal leader, or he becomes an outcast and he ends up getting crucified because he was rocking the boat. It's very sad
Well, no, he may actually promote change and become an outcast and never get anywhere.
Or in 100 years later,
may be revered.
People actually wake up to the fact, hey, he might have known what he was talking about.
But I think it's safe to say that people are generally probably a little happier if they have a very set, established life. At least people, if we're kind of talking about the workforce, a lot of people, and I'm wondering if I could say the majority in my experience, it's close to the majority. If things just work the way they do from day to day, and this is how we do it, I think a lot of people are very, very happy with that.
Most people are happy to go along and get along.
Yeah, especially if it's the workplace where it's just where you go to make money and then you go home and then that's when you have your time. But when you're at the workplace, let's just get this done. Let's not make this complicated.
So we can apply it to something else. How about national politics?
Oh yeah, how about correct?
Seems a timely subject.
Which is another thing that people don't want to touch because it requires thinking and research and
But it's just easier. I'm registered as a Democrat. I'm registered as a Republican. Why can't I just vote that way, Conan? It makes it nice and easy. I don't have to think. I don't have to read all this stuff that my friends are posting online about Hillary or Trump or whoever the Johnson
I think it's
is.
a sad state of affairs that we are so simple-minded that we can only have the 2 options. There's so many people in this country that they can only think one or the other, and that's it. There is no other alternative.
But apparently a sizable percentage of Americans do want more options. We'll talk about that and your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com. mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's Darryl, Chris, and Conan in studio tonight. And Chris, you had mentioned something in the last segment about, most Americans are, either registered Republican or Democrat. And, well, why do we need more options? Why do I have to study for who the candidates are? Can't I just, always vote for giant meteor hitting the earth?
Not to get pedantic, but are most people now still registered Republican or Democrat?
That would be a good question for Darryl.
The plurality of people are registered as either undeclared or something other than.
That was my question, yeah.
When you combine the people registered Republican with the people registered Democrat, that is a majority.
Still. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That was my question, because I know we hear that a lot, that people that are undeclared or not involved in the party now outnumber either party, which is accurate.
Right.
But
they
not outnumber
either, but not both
together. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you, Darryl. You can always go to Darryl with your fact questions if you ever have one. Call into the show when he's on.
So if the independents decided to go third party and they could all agree on the same third party member, they could wipe the face of the earth with the R's and the D's.
But that's the problem, is you're not going to get them to all agree. You can't even get all of the Republicans to agree on which Republican. You can't get all the Democrats to agree on which Democrat.
Half the time you can't get the three libertarians in this room to agree on anything. So go
exactly. There's a interesting op-ed written by Peter Gemma on opednews.com, and he says there is no free market of ideas, candidates, or political parties on Election Day. It's not for a lack of demand. According to the latest ABC News Washington Post survey, 57% of Americans are dissatisfied with the choice between Donald and Hillary. And 44% say they would prefer a third-party candidate to run.
And what's the percentage of voters who are unsatisfied with their congressional leaders or their representatives?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Like 91% now?
Hold on. That's a different question. The congressional approval rating, meaning Congress as a whole, this group of 435 men and women in the House of Representatives and 100 members of the U.S. Senate, that group as a whole, those 535 people, have an approval rating of somewhere around 9 or 10%.
And usually the presidential candidate is one of those. And I guess in this case you've got the Trump, the orange man, who is he's come from other lands.
And Hillary is not a member of Congress. Actually, most of the time the presidential candidates are not members of Congress. But the question you asked of how many people are happy with their member of Congress is a completely different question than how do you view Congress? Do you have a favorable or unfavorable rating or view of Congress?
Yeah, everyone
different than how do you view your member?
Right. Everyone likes the player on their team. They hate the other players because there you go. It's a form of...
Well, just at a high level, I mean, it's always struck me as hilarious that Congress as a whole has like a 10% approval rating.
Yes.
You would think that they're all a bunch of bums, yet what, is it 80, 85, 90% of them?
It's actually close to 90.
Will be reelected every time they run.
Yes.
So it's somebody else's problem, but not mine.
Let's get back into this article talking about just political parties as a whole and what people think of that. A recent Associated Press poll done in conjunction with the University of Chicago revealed that 71% of millennials want an alternative to the Republican and Democratic nominees. In another survey, public policy polling matched a giant meteor hitting the Earth against Hillary and Donald. The killer asteroid nabbed 13% of the vote, far more than any other third-party candidate on any ballot.
And Harambe is doing pretty good, too, I hear.
About 4% in the polls that he's included in.
That's better than our Well, what is Johnson at these days?
Gary Johnson's averaging about 9%.
Okay, so...
That's what I hear, too. And since the question of congressional job approval came up, approve, average of 5 or 6 different recent polls, 13%, disapprove, 78%.
And was the question asked, how do you view your member of Congress?
I suspect not based on this, but this, again, is based on polls by The Economist, Monmouth University, Gallup, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a bunch of different polls. I'm just looking at the aggregate.
Right. I was just curious because, again, how do you view Congress as a whole, and how do you view your member? Again, two completely separate questions that we'll have.
One would guess my local congressman must be getting about 50% or better, seeing as how they keep getting reelected.
Well, they get reelected because
plurality are voting for them.
Right. There's, first past the post, and in a lot of cases, well, the guy, I'd rather go with the devil I know than the devil I don't. And also there's a fair number of districts that are so heavily gerrymandered, it doesn't matter who is put up by either party. One party is going to win regardless. And there's also a large number of congressional races where there is absolutely no opposition at all on the ballot. There's just the member of Congress running against nobody. The establishment parties actually benefit from strict ballot access laws that make it difficult or impossible for alternative candidates to participate in elections. In order to get on the ballot, independent and third party, and I hate that term third party because it implies that there should only be two. So here on out, I will, where it says third party.
In this case, there should only be three, and number three is never going to be anywhere.
No, there should be as many parties as can qualify. So I'm not going to use the term. If I use the term third party, it's because I'm reading, and I prefer using the term major party or minor party. Let me get back into this. Independent and minor party candidates must meet a variety of Byzantine state-specific filing requirements. Complex stipulations and regulations determine whether voters will be able to choose from a larger pool of parties and candidates. Unorthodox candidates must undergo bureaucratic and burdensome trials in all 50 states before they're permitted to run for office, and the laws have proven effective. No independent or minor party presidential candidate has won an electoral vote in 48 years. Now, this is slightly different than in 1972, when the Libertarian received an electoral vote. That was from what's called a faithless elector. It was not because the Libertarians actually won an electoral vote. 1968, when George Wallace won several states, was the last time somebody other than a Republican or a Democrat actually won electoral votes in the presidential election. To get on the ballot nationwide this year, it is estimated that a minor party or independent presidential candidate must have more than 880,000 signatures on petitions, whereas the major parties regularly, or rather the major parties do regularly challenge the legitimacy of ballot access petitions. Leaving out a middle initial is among some reasons that a name could be considered invalid. So securing a ratio of 2 to 1 of the required number of signatures is the pragmatic strategy for campaigns. That means the army of petitioners going door to door should collect about 1.7 million names. If that becomes difficult to manage, a candidate may hire professional solicitors who charge between $2.50 to $5 per signature. You do the math. Consider how the ballot access system currently works. Texas requires independent candidates to collect 79,939 valid signatures, double that to be prudent. And in North Carolina, to be a recognized political party, you need signatures to equal 2% of the previous gubernatorial election. And, well, this year would be about 90,000 valid. Again, double to be safe. Other states require petitions and filing fees. There's more on this and your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Oh, yeah, we've got Skype as well. Username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. I'll be on the ballot for president in all 50 states. If a Democrat is elected president, if a Republican is elected president, in 4 years, we will still be at war. America will be 4 years deeper in debt. We will have 4 more years of rising taxes, bigger government, crony capitalism instead of free markets, and less freedom. How do we know this? Because that's what both parties keep delivering. If you're an optimist, you know that one day America will have its act together. One day we won't be at war. One day taxes will be fair. One day our social and economic challenges will be conquered, not by force, but by cooperation and mutual respect. To the independent majority of Americans who feel as I do, I say, why wait one more day?
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are, 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the new form of poll taxes that most people don't think of as a poll tax because, well, it's not prohibiting people from voting. No, but it is prohibiting people from having options of whom to vote for. We'll get back into that, but I want to make sure that I tell you about the LRN Listen Line, the audio on-demand listen line for the Liberty Radio Network. Get a pen and piece of paper, unless you're driving. Don't do this while you're driving. Write down 641-793-9660. That's the audio on-demand listen line. And that way you never miss any of the live programs from the Liberty Radio Network. You can get Free Talk Live, Declare Your Independence, The Freedom Fiends, The Angel Clark Show, and several other live shows when you want. There's no app to download. You don't have to worry about having a data connection or a Wi-Fi connection or a smartphone. You can have any phone. If you've still got a rotary phone in your house, you can use the Listen line, 641-793-9660. And when you call that number, press 2 to hear Free Talk Live whenever you want. It will replay the latest episode. And we say something outrageous and we're not live when you're listening, press 0 and leave us a voicemail. Chances are the host will listen. Slightly less chance, unless it's a really good call, it could get played on the air. Again, that number is 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live. Press 0 after that to leave us a message.
Keep those messages snippy and to the point.
Yes, keep them short.
5-minute messages, maybe not.
I'm not listening to a 5-minute message.
A 2-minute message.
I think pithy is a great word used by a certain TV talk show host.
That's why I said snippy, Chris.
Did you?
Yes.
You just couldn't say pithy?
I was staying away
Isn't that
from
a type of helmet?
Pith.
Yes.
Do you know why they call it that?
Tell us.
When you're walking through the jungle, it keeps the pith off your head. Monkeys, yeah.
But also when you're walking through the jungle, you don't necessarily have options of which candidate to vote for, and that's what we're talking about here is the desire. People really want more options, but why do they not have them? And we were talking just moments ago about writing people in for different offices. And, well, there are 9 states that do not allow write-in votes in general elections. Oklahoma being one of those states. And, well, this year, luckily for the Libertarians, they were able to overcome the burdensome ballot access requirement to actually get on the ballot this year, first time since the year 2000. The petition campaign to gather over 42,000 valid signatures cost the party $104,000. For minor parties, organizational infrastructure as well as deep pockets is vital. Running for president means conducting 50 races, actually 51 once you count the District of Criminals, simultaneously. Startup campaigns simply do not have the money or the manpower to be competitive with the Democrats and Republicans because of the barriers of the ruling parties that they have put in place. The nation's leading expert on ballot access laws, Richard Winger, the editor of Ballot Access News, maintains that ballot access restrictions vary from state to state, but they have one thing in common, and that is to prevent people other than Republicans or Democrats from getting on the ballot, thus preventing them from getting elected. Disenfranchised candidates is part of the election game as well. 45 states have enacted what are called sore loser laws that deny a defeated candidate from running as an independent or minor party candidate in the general election. If a candidate believes political power brokers have quashed any chance to win the Republican or Democratic nomination, there is no second chance.
How many states was that again? So if Trump had lost the Republican nomination and he was saying he was going to go third party, how many states would he have not been on the ballot in?
That's a very interesting question because historically, sore loser laws have not applied to presidential candidates because the actual candidate is the slate of presidential electors.
Right. They're not actually being voted for.
Right.
However, in recent years, sore loser laws have been interpreted to apply to presidential candidates. I'm going to say a name that I don't think either one of you are familiar with, Rocky de la Fuente.
Oh, Rocky.
That's the boxer, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we're talking about the Puerto Rican version of the movie.
Yes.
Rocky de la Fuente ran in the Democratic primaries in several states this year. He then created the American Delta Party and recently received the Reform Party's presidential nomination. And there are a couple of states that have interpreted their sore loser laws to apply to Rocky de la Fuente, even though they previously allowed candidates that sought a major party nomination to then be on the ballot as either an independent or minor party candidate.
Okay. So can I just challenge this a little bit? I will posit.
You're going to rock the boat, Chris?
I am. I'm going to be
rock the boat.
I'm going to be that guy.
Rock the boat, baby.
Be that guy.
Rock the boat.
I believe that these obstructionist ballot access laws that are completely controlled by Republicans and Democrats, you don't even have to say major parties, it is both of them.
Yes.
They control it, they manipulate it in such a way, they are becoming less relevant every year.
Hold on, you're
year.
saying the ballot access laws become less relevant, or the Republicans and Democrats?
Yes. I'm saying it's becoming less relevant, not fast enough, but what it is doing is it is getting people's names out there. So, for example,
Ron Paul, for example,
Ron Paul, or or Gary Johnson, or Jill Stein. More people know the name Jill Stein this year, I think, than have ever known the name Jill Stein ever, because she gets talked about, and she gets talked about in social media.
I also think that had Jill Stein not also been the Green Party nominee 4 years ago, not as many people would be talking about Jill Stein.
Of course.
Presidential elections, and here's Darryl making a sports ball analogy that a lot of people might not get. But presidential elections are a lot like the old BCS that college football had, to where if you were not in one of the 5 major conferences, you had to go undefeated 2 or 3 years in a row to be then considered a top 10 team.
Right.
And it's very difficult to go undefeated 1 year in a row, much less 2 or 3.
I think what we're going to see, and it never happens fast enough. I get that. And I've, as Darryl well knows and Conan knows, I've suffered at the hands of ballot access laws personally. Yes. It can never happen fast enough, but I think this has been another good year for this to get talked about. For why can't we get more people on the ballot?
Talking about it is one thing, but actually getting some change to where there's more than 1 or 2 choices is completely different.
But Darryl, if it's you, me, and Conan shrilly screaming at the top of our lungs about how horrible ballot access laws are to a bunch of people who have never heard the term ballot access and have never really wondered, we're not going to get anywhere. But now we have this case where we have 2 people that are just so reviled by both sides, in both directions. Republicans hate Trump. Republicans hate Hillary. Democrats hate Hillary. Democrats hate Trump. This is one of those opportunities where I hear more and more people go, I wish we had another choice.
Yes.
And it is a case where we do have other choices, but it gives everyone that opportunity to talk about it.
It boils down, and I do want to continue this discussion in hour number 2, but a lot of it boils down to this thinking after they find out there is another choice. Oh, well, I can't vote for that guy because he's not going to win because he's not one of the 2 people that everybody hates. I've got to vote for one of the people that everybody hates, otherwise I'm wasting my vote.
Well, what's the thing going on? Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's where if you vote for a third party, you vote for Jill Stein, they'll counterbalance it with a vote for...
Oh, I forget what it is, but...
Have you guys talked about that? We'll dig it up.
Every couple of election cycles, something similar comes up to where somebody will say, hey, I live in a safe state. I'll vote for whatever candidate you want if you live in the swing state and you vote for the party of my choice.
Yeah. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, sort of a vote swapping sort of
safe state
thing.
Compromise.
Right. Vote swapping, we can talk about that, as well as how many people actually want there to be third or fourth options. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $18.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,303 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $578. Antiwar.com reports, adding to international criticism of Israel's construction in the occupied West Bank, the government of Israel has approved several hundred additional homes in the settlement there, both approving plans for 284 new homes to be constructed and retroactively legalizing some 179 homes built in violation of Israeli law in the Ofaram settlement. The new plans were criticized by Israeli watchdog Peace Now, saying that the current government is building settlements all over the West Bank and also sending the message that illegal settlements can continue to be built and be expected to be legalized after the fact. The U.S. State Department issued a statement saying that they were deeply concerned by the acceleration of settlement construction and in particular about the growing trend towards retroactive legalization, allowing Israel to expand settlement activity in a potentially unlimited way. The far-right government's trend towards retroactive legalization as a matter of course is indeed fueling a boom in pirate outposts, with self-described entrepreneurs bragging about going hilltop to hilltop in the Palestinian territory, tossing up a few trailers, and then waiting a few months for Israel to retroactively legalize the takeover of the land that the settlers never had any pretense of owning in the first place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports a state of emergency was declared in Hawaii Wednesday as the South Pacific Islands brace for Hurricane Madeline's impact. The storm is losing strength but is still listed as a Category 1 hurricane, according to forecasters. On Wednesday afternoon, Governor David Ige declared an emergency for his islands. On Wednesday night, residents were making preparations for the storm, which was expected to pass close by and perhaps make landfall on the Big Island of Hawaii. The Hurricane Center projects the storm to graze South Point on the Big Island, but a direct hit is also possible. The American Red Cross of Hawaii opened more than a dozen emergency shelters on the Big Island to accommodate those displaced by Madeline. On Wednesday afternoon, forecasters reported that Madeline was about 70 miles southeast of the Hawaiian shore and about 90 miles southeast of Hilo and was moving westward at 13 miles per hour. A hurricane warning and flash flood watch were issued for Hawaii Island. Weather Underground forecasters predicted up to 15 inches of rain in some parts of the Big Island and up to 4 inches in Maui. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the first scheduled commercial passenger flight from the United States to Cuba in more than half a century landed on Wednesday, opening another chapter in the Obama administration's efforts to improve ties and increase trade and travel with the former Cold War foe. A JetBlue Airways passenger jet arrived from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara. The route may be a commercial challenge, at least initially, but it is the first of a plethora of new flights by various U.S. airlines to destinations in the communist-ruled island. U.S. Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, other officials, and journalists were aboard the 150-seat plane. Regular travelers, including some of Cuban descent, occupied nearly half of the seats on the flight to Santa Clara, a city with a population of about 200,000 people that is known for its monument to revolutionary leader Ernesto Che Guevara. While opening travel to cities like Santa Clara is seen as a foot in the door to expanding travel to some of the Cuban provinces, the market's big prize is routes to Havana, which Fox awarded on Wednesday. American Airlines was awarded the biggest portion. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry noted in a Twitter message that the flight took place just over a year after the flag was raised at the reopened U.S. Embassy in Havana. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
If you're just tuning in, a horrific accident. Dozens are dead and hundreds more injured after the Coors Light party train crashed in Pratt, Kansas. The train was barreling through a field on its way to liven up a boring, overheated barbecue when something went wrong. Partiers were thrown hundreds of feet from the train as the frost-powered locomotive careened through bystanders at its normal speed of over 27,000 miles per hour. Rescue crews are struggling to get close to the crash. The Rocky Mountain frost radiating from the downed silver bullet is flash freezing survivors' bodies as they try to escape the wreckage, and the OJ's hit song Love Train is looping at deafening levels. No word yet on the cause of the accident, but investigators are focusing now on the fact that the train weighs 400 million tons and was not on rails. Coors Light has released the following statement, quote, Coors Light regrets any loss of life caused by the Coors Light party train's raw, frosty power. Please continue to enjoy Coors Light. We'll have more on this story as it develops.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2. It's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And we're talking about the desire that a lot of people have for more options on the ballot. However, there are huge hurdles and barriers in place that prevent that from happening. I recall 8 years ago when Ron Paul wound up not getting the Republican nomination. A lot of people, he should run third party. But, well, that would require millions of dollars to be spent just on ballot access. And, well, there are a lot of states that have what they call sore loser laws that even though sore loser laws are not supposed to apply to presidential candidates because you're not actually voting for the presidential candidate, you're voting for a slate of electors. So even though you're not voting for the presidential candidate, sore loser laws should not apply. But in recent years, states have started trying to say that they do. And, well, those interpretations have not been challenged in court. And if they do, it will be interesting to see what side the courts fall on that. But getting back into the article that we started in the last hour, written by Peter Gimma over at Op-Ed News, he says if a candidate believes political power brokers have quashed any chance to win the Republican or Democratic nomination, there is no second chance for the most part. Again, it's 45 states that have those sore loser laws. Ralph Nader, guy you probably heard of before, He observed several years ago, if we all have equal right to run for election, if they call third-party candidates spoilers, but they don't call their major opponent in the other party a spoiler, they are assigning a second-class citizenship to the third-party candidates. The Gallup organization found a majority of Americans, 60% in fact, say a third major political party is needed because the Republicans and Democratic parties do such a poor job of representing the American people. Yet, when voters get inside the polling booth, they often find only two candidates listed. And again, in a lot of cases, there's only one. I was looking at the sample ballots because we have our primary coming up in about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks.
13th. Tuesday.
And not only are there a large number of races in the primary with no opposition, a lot of those races, there's no candidate in the other party running in that race. So the race that you're running for, Conan, state representative from one of the wards here in Keene, you do have a contested primary on the Democratic side, but nobody filed as a Republican.
Correct. And there's a silly law here in New Hampshire which prevents you from changing your party a certain amount of time before the election. So I missed it by one day. I was actually going.
I told you the deadline, and you forgot.
I knew the deadline, and I work.
Bad Conan.
And yes, so I was going to run as a Republican. You know, when you throw it up, it's like, well, you know, I got Democratic ideals, characteristics. I got Republican characteristics. I don't know. What do I do? Do I run as one or the other? Do I go collect 150 friggin' signatures? And I don't know if anyone's ever collected signatures before. It's not easy. It's like, oh, it's 150.
And it's even more difficult in New Hampshire because unlike almost all of the other states where you can walk around with a stack of voter registration forms to where when somebody says, I don't know if I'm registered to vote. In most other places, you can say, well, fill this out and then sign my petition.
And by the way, to clarify, 150 to run as a third-party
party. State rep.
And I was thinking running as a Sumerian. Does anyone get that? You guys, I know Darryl doesn't get it.
Is that the ethnicity of Conan the Barbarian?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Maybe next year. So, yeah, I mean, I've run as a Democrat because I got stuck in that party. I don't even know why I was filed as this party. Why would I ever?
You did it.
Because you registered as a Democrat 2 years ago for the same reason.
For the same reason? Okay, so I'm stuck. I'm running against the incumbent, and who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Getting back into the article, Richard Winger, the aforementioned expert on ballot access laws in the United States and editor of Ballot Access News, said the extreme disparity of the burdens placed on old established parties versus new parties has no parallel in any other democratic nation in the world. And often when talking about ballot access, I will point to Canada and the United Kingdom because both of those countries have, one, a somewhat similar electoral system for their lower house, the House of Commons in Canada and UK. They have a very similar system for that as what we have for our congressional elections. They have districts. In Canada, I believe they call them ridings, and I forget the term that they use in the UK, but they use districts and they use first past the post, meaning whichever candidate gets the most votes winds up winning. Now, there are some people that think that Canada and the UK use some sort of proportional representation because they have like 5 and 6 parties in their parliament. But no, they use a very similar system to what we in the U.S. use.
Why do you think Americans do it this way?
Because
why?
I know. Let me guess.
Go ahead and guess, and then I'll give my thought.
It has to be how we have evolved as a country, as a people. We're different than Canadians. We're different than UK.
No,
there's definitely something cultural. And Chris, I want your thoughts before I give mine.
No, despite all warnings of our founding fathers against the rise of political parties, We, as Americans, over our history, have allowed political parties to rise up. We've encouraged them. We give them money, and then we sit back and wonder why we're stuck with a two-party system. They're colluding against us with our support. So, yeah, that's why.
Well, that's part of it. But again, it's because of this whole thing to where certain parties get preferential treatment, to where if all of the candidates wound up getting the same path to the ballot, and there are a couple of states where this happens, and Vermont, our friendly neighbor to the left of us here in New Hampshire, they actually have members of the Progressive Party in their legislature. But one thing that I think is very unique to America is this binary option. It's either Coke or Pepsi.
That's because
people don't think about RC Cola, Dr. Pepper, or any of the other options.
They do when they go to the marketplace, but they can't seem to wrap their minds around it when it comes to the polls.
Because we've allowed two parties to come into power and to control it. So here's a thought experiment. What if we had 6 parties, and 6 parties all pretty much shared all of the power, and 6 parties made up our
well, we
our
just
ballot
can't have
access
we
laws.
can't have a 7th party. That would be insane.
That's exactly what it would be. You would have 6 parties that would be allowed to be on the ballot. You wouldn't have to gather any signatures or anything, but that 7th. 7 is just too many. I mean, what kind of mayhem would that create?
So what they do in Canada and the UK is, again, they treat all parties the same. Every candidate has the same small number of signatures to collect, and they have the same small refundable filing fee. So here in the U.S., filing fees are not returned if you meet a certain vote threshold.
Right.
In Canada and the UK, both, if a candidate meets a certain vote threshold, they get their filing fee back.
Yeah, cool.
And that is sort of their deterrent against these frivolous candidates, unless somebody just has £500 to throw away.
And here's where I kind of go off the rails with some of my libertarian friends is I think that until somebody demonstrates more out of third parties in any race, whether it's local or whether it's national, it's not going to change at all. There's not even going to be momentum for people to ask for change. That's why I think if you've got a third party you can vote for them.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. Like 60% of you, I'm not impressed by the two-party system. It's a dinosaur. It's outmoded and no longer reflects today's America. Two-party politics doesn't work, and it hasn't worked for anybody but itself in decades. If we the people are wise, we will never again elect another president from within the entrenched, corrupt, co-opted two-party system. The office of president should serve the needs of everyone equally, with respect and with fairness. I did it as governor, I'll do it as president. Google me. 60% of you have said you want another choice in 2016, and now you have one in me. We the people have a chance to do something in 2016 that may not come around again in our lifetimes. We have a legitimate chance to elect one of our own to the highest office in the land. Give me your vote one time and see what a difference one election can make.
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. you can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. We're talking about elections and the lack of choice. Although people want choice, when you go to the supermarket, you want more than one type of deodorant. Yes, Bernie Sanders, we want more than one type of deodorant. We want more than one thing to choose from in the meat section. But I'll tell you something that it's a very easy decision, and that is getting a My Pillow. When you go to bed tonight, concentrate on the position of your head and neck. Your head and neck should be parallel to the floor, straight and parallel to the floor. In a lot of cases, chronic headaches, neck aches, and even back pain can be solved with the right pillow. My Pillow, that's the name of it. My Pillow is designed to fit the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using this thing for a few months, and I can say it's absolutely the best pillow I've ever used. This thing is amazing. You can throw it in the washing machine, throw it in the dryer, and then you can actually use it again. It doesn't become absolute trash like most pillows probably will after you just put it in the washer. Can you imagine all the dust mites and stuff that get on this thing? You want to be able to wash it. Don't worry. I have a solution, mypillow.com. Use code FTL and buy a pillow. Don't worry, if you don't like it, you have 60 days to return it, money back guaranteed. And the pillow itself is guaranteed to last at least 10 years. And again, use code FTL. You get a second pillow absolutely free or half off one pillow by itself. mypillow.com, code FTL. We're talking about the desire for a third option. A recent poll from Gallup found that 60% of Americans say that a third major political party is needed because the Republicans and Democrats do such a poor job of representing the American people. Yet when voters get inside the polling booth, they often find only one or two candidates on their ballot.
You brought up Bernie just a second ago with his, we need 2 deodorants, 2 Pop-Tarts, 2 colas.
No, he said you don't need 23 different options of deodorant.
Correct. So what I'm getting at is
he didn't say 2. He didn't say how many. He just said you don't need 23.
To me, Bernie sounds like one of those limited type folks who is only capable of one or two or three options, and anything more than that becomes complicated, and it's not necessary, and it just fouls up the process.
Right, and that's part of that whole binary thinking that Americans have that most other people seem to not be plagued with.
Okay,
Coke or Pepsi, Burger King or McDonald's. No, don't say Wendy's. Don't say Sonic. No, your choice is Burger King or McDonald's, Coke or Pepsi. Don't say Dr. Pepper. Don't say RC Cola.
But those things all sell. That's the whole thing. I think what it is we've just allowed ourselves to be. We've been active participants in our own enslavement as far as ballot access goes. We continue to support the same two parties, and this is what we get. I mean, until more people continue to vote third party when they get the opportunity nothing's going to ever seem like it's real. So there's a possibility of it.
Every time, and I've studied this, and every time there's a successful candidate outside of the Republican or Democratic parties, do you know how the legislators in the 50 states that are made up of Republicans and Democrats respond? They tighten ballot access laws to make it more difficult for other options.
Of course. So what's your solution? We don't do anything?
No, my solution is go lobby your legislator. Don't sit on your butt and hope for change.
Agreed. Agree completely.
Considering, all right, back to the Bernie Sanders, considering how much support he was getting, and that he's a limited party guy. He is. It makes me think that we are not. I mean, the numbers make it sound like people are more interested in third party and opening up, but I think that both parties are just transforming into two other parties. So Bernie Sanders is a more progressive, more extreme case of the progressives.
Bernie's not a Democrat.
He's an extreme socialist progressive type, and then you got Trump, who is running Republican, and he is most definitely a statist coming from the Democrats.
All Republicans are statist. It's just to what degree.
I know. So both Bernie and Trump are more extreme versions of who they represent right now.
So no, I think they actually do represent who they're out there. I think we've allowed partisan politics to shape people's thinking, and definitely within the Republican Party, people that I know who in the past have probably been a little more level-headed have become more shrill. And I think they respond to candidates. But, not to go all Conan conspiracy theory.
It's all right.
What if there were this sort of engineered effort to bring about the demise of both the parties,
and to put on a good show doing it?
And people are fed up. Therefore, the Republican Party is going to go away to be replaced by the American Conservative Party. My apologies if there really is an American Conservative Party.
Not that I'm aware of. But good luck actually getting ballot access.
You mean? Are you talking about the alt-rights?
And the Democrats. There has been. We are going to replace them with the modern progressive party, the MPP. Who knows what it is? But you know what I mean? I could see this sort of hijinks playing out pretty easily, and then people go, you know what? That old two-party system didn't really work for us. We got rid of the Democrats and Republicans.
We need the new two-party system.
New two-party system.
All right, that's
it's
what
even
I was getting
better.
At. That's what I was getting at. I don't see that this independent wave is actually going anywhere. I think the two parties are transforming into something else.
I think it's a lot of people giving lip service to supporting third options, to where they say, I want another option, but then when they're given another option, they're like, well, not that one. I want something different, just not that.
This is a good year and a bad year for independents, and I'll say for Jill Stein and for Gary Johnson, but it's also the worst year, because not only do you have to rouse support from both parties, you've got to convince them that they're going to vote for you instead of voting against that other person.
This is the most important election of our life, and if I don't vote for this candidate that's absolutely horrible, the candidate that's really, 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 really the devil is going to win.
I feel blessed that every election I've ever voted in has been the most important in the history of the United States.
But no, Chris,
I'm lucky to have lived this sort of life.
Let me finish this.
This is the most important, because 2017 it's over. Next year, it's it. And it doesn't matter if Hillary or Trump are in office.
Supreme Court picks. That's all I hear.
Let me finish this article real quick. The author says that reasonable ballot access requirements to set qualifying standards are necessary. I don't necessarily agree. He says, however, just as poll taxes were set up to keep certain citizens from expressing their right to vote, today's ballot access laws are deliberately designed to provide a similar obstacle for free thinkers who challenge the political power elites.
Well, there you go.
Dun, da, da, da.
So, Conan, you said that in 2017 it's over. What do you mean? Giant meteor hits the Earth?
I think it has to do with...
Or are you thinking some weird conspiracy?
Money, currency. It's all
crash.
I've been hearing everything's going to crash and burn for most of my life. Maybe we can talk about that. But, Chris, you've got a story about there might be some kind of takeover of the election. Is it real?
I think they'll save us.
What are your thoughts? 855-450 free.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems, the right way, the first time, so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, we have Skype. Username is LRN.FM. And in studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And Chris, we've been talking about elections and specifically the way that ballot access laws, something that most people don't think about, because yes, I know it's not a sexy issue. So whenever there's something in the legislature, or whenever I try to get a legislator to introduce something to change ballot access laws, they're like, "Well, there's not a huge outcry for this." Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean that it's not important.
That's because you've kept everybody who would really cry out about it out of the legislature, so of course you're not hearing it where you sit.
Right.
And
well,
most people just don't get it. They don't understand it. They just think that, wow, I guess there's only two parties that really got their act together enough to be involved.
Yeah, and one thing that most people don't realize in New Hampshire, back in the 90s, the Libertarians actually had ballot access. They were a recognized political party. There was a Libertarian presidential primary in 1992.
I got some history here.
And then in 1997, the Republicans and Democrats got together, increased the vote threshold to where the Libertarians wound up not being on the ballot anymore.
Smoke-filled rooms. We love those.
And Libertarians have been struggling ever since. So a lot of people, well, I'll just run as a Republican or a Democrat, and then I don't have to do anything other than pay a $2 filing fee, and then I get elected because I have no opposition.
Well, I think everybody in this country would feel much better if we had, basically a military organization sort of overseeing our electoral process. Wouldn't that make you feel better when you go to the polls?
No. Yeah, just like Venezuela.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Things are going great for them.
They're safe, aren't they?
They are.
They might not have anything to eat, but they're
the zoo
safe.
animals aren't safe. I'll tell you that.
I mean, just look at Harambe.
So this comes to us.
Harambe was not a Venezuelan zoo animal. He was a Cincinnati zoo animal.
Good point. But so maybe if he was in Venezuela, he'd still be alive today.
No, he would have gotten eaten, because we actually reported a few weeks ago that, yes, in Venezuela, they are eating the zoo animals, and the zoo animals are starving to death.
Huh. So here's the headline from the Washington Examiner. Homeland eyes special declaration to take charge of elections. That just, it gives me a warm feeling to know that our U.S. Department of Homeland Security probably wants to get involved in this election cycle, not one 8 years from now. They don't really want to take the time to put a plan together. But here it goes. Even before the FBI identified new cyber attacks on two separate state election boards, the Department of Homeland Security, began considering declaring the election, quote, a critical infrastructure, unquote, giving it the same control over security it has over Wall Street and the electric power grid.
Okay, so I just want to pause here. And actually what Jay Johnson said was not the election.
Jay Johnson.
We'll get into it.
No, his name is Jay Johnson.
I
you
know what
weird, illiterate
I know what his name
goofball.
is. Go.
I'll get into quotes from Jay Johnson. The latest admission of
So what he actually had said was the election equipment.
We'll get to that.
I know. I now this is one of those things. The Washington Examiner annoys me.
I know
seriously.
it does. That's all right.
Because so it's got this name to where most people think, oh, this is a newspaper.
it's not a newspaper. It's a website that pretty much anybody can sign up to write for. And then you've got a lot of people that write things that, one, they're poorly written, two, they're not very well researched, but people think that it's, some legitimate journalist writing something because, well, the name of the website is The Washington Examiner. It's got to be a legitimate news source. It sounds like one.
All right. Well, while I'm trying to read through this one, I am going to try to find a different source other than Washington Examiner or InfoWars. So, back to the story. The latest admissions of attacks could speed up that effort, possibly including the upcoming presidential elections, according to officials. Quote, "We should carefully consider whether our election system, our election process, is critical infrastructure like the financial sector, like the power grid," Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson said. "There is a vital national interest in our election process, so I do think we need to consider whether it should be considered by my department and others critical infrastructure," he said at a media conference earlier this month, hosted by the Christian Science Monitor. So I've seen that video clip, and that part of what he says is exactly what he says. Now, to Darryl's point, how do you protect critical infrastructure? Now, the Department of Homeland Security does not deploy troops at every single power station in the country. Correct? They don't. What they really do is they promote best practices and standards for electric power companies. They promote monitoring and things like that to make sure that things don't get messed with. And then if there are attacks that are detected, then they can help organize a response against those. At a very high level, at least that's what they'll tell you they do. That's pretty much what they do.
Right, and this meeting was also a meeting where they had the chief election officials. Most states, that would be the Secretary of State, could
Generally.
be somebody else, but whoever the top election official from the 50 states were all at this meeting discussing, how to basically prevent their computers that count as the ballots in most of those states from being hacked.
And I think this year it's probably much more sensitive than it's been in the past because we have been, part of this election cycle has been driven by hacks. It hasn't been hacks of election equipment per se, but it certainly has been email accounts that have been, and email systems that have been hacked.
There were voter registration databases in at least 2 states were hacked by someone. Some people are claiming that it was Russia, although nobody really knows exactly who it was.
It was Putin. Putin on the wrist. He puts bear claw gloves on and hacks on his laptop. It's pretty impressive to see. DHS has a vital security role in 16 areas of critical infrastructure, and they provide a model for what the department and Johnson could have in mind for the election. DHS describes it this way on their website. There are 16 critical infrastructure sectors whose assets, systems, and networks, whether physical or virtual, are considered so vital to the United States that their incapacitation or destruction would have a debilitating effect on the security, national economic security, national public health, or safety, or any combination thereof. So that is your mission of DHS as it was kind of laid out and how it's evolved.
I do have a different article here from a more reputable news source, UPI, which is United Press International, and they say that on the call, Jay Johnson pointed out that U.S. voting machines, for the most part, have not had a security overhaul since they were mandated under the 2002 Help America Vote Act, which required states to switch to electronic balloting. The particulars of this, however, have been left up to the states because the Constitution delineates the responsibility for administering elections to the states and not the federal government. Johnson also alerted election officials to some best practices to help avoid instances of voter fraud through though Voice of America points out, the use of electronic voting machines that tabulate and report results use internal fax and email portals that make them inherently susceptible to tampering.
Sure. And I think when you hear Johnson say statements like this, there is no one federal election system. There are some 9,000 jurisdictions involved in the election process. Those of us who have been around a little bit look at that and go, are you suggesting there should be one election system?
That's what he wants.
Sure.
We'll find out, and your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-929-5733. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-929-5733. 1-800-929-5733.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply, or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now, earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,307 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $18.69 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $570 US. Silver is at its lowest price in 2 months, making for a great opportunity to buy more. Give Robertson Roberts a call today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into the story about Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson. Is he saying that he's going to take over the elections like some people are alleging he's saying? We'll get into what he actually said here in just a moment. And if you've listened to Free Talk Live for a while, you know that we talk a good bit about cryptocurrencies. Monero has been around for almost 2 years, but it's just now starting to get some real attention. Monero was designed to be the cryptocurrency that Bitcoin should have been from the beginning. It is the only currency built from scratch to focus on privacy and anonymity. Monero claims to be completely anonymous and untraceable with built-in mixing at the protocol level. Unlike Dash, Monero does not use masternodes that can be controlled or hijacked by big corporations or, God forbid, governments. Monero is fungible, and unlike Bitcoin, it cannot be blacklisted by exchanges. It has quadrupled in value over the past 2 weeks after it was implemented by 2 of the largest online markets, or rather after it was announced that it would be implemented by 2 of the largest online markets, Alphabet and Oasis. Actually, Alphabet began accepting it today. On Sunday, here on Free Talk Live, we're going to interview Riccardo Spagni, the head developer for Monero. Get your questions ready and start your research at getmonero.com. That's GETMONERO.com.
So going back to the story, I think it would be good to get a different perspective because we covered pretty much everything that the Washington Examiner covered. But Politico's coverage of this is kind of interesting, I think, because it actually goes to talking to a Secretary of State about what his reaction is to this.
And I still have a little bit more from the UPI article that I had pulled up and referenced earlier, where, again, Johnson alerted election officials, that being the chief election officials from the 50 states plus the District of Criminals. In most cases, that would be the Secretary of State. He alerted them to some best practices to help avoid instances of voter fraud. And Voice of America points out the use of electronic voting machines that tabulate and report results, use internal fax and email portals that make them inherently susceptible to tampering if someone wanted to try hard enough.
Duh.
Yeah.
About 3/4 of Americans will use a machine that actually creates a paper trail, and in 26 states, election workers are required by law to perform random audits of those machines to check for instances of fraud or machine malfunction. And this is where some people are, I think, getting the idea that Homeland Security is taking over the elections. Jay Johnson did say that DHS workers would be available to help perform random audits and to improve security measures.
Yeah.
That does not mean that when you go ask for your ballot, it's going to be a Homeland Security worker that looks your name up in the book and then signs off and hands you a ballot.
Not this year.
Right. But that's the whole thing, Darryl.
That would require constitutional changes in the 50 different states plus the District of Criminals.
Oh, please. You're pretending that we actually follow the Constitution? What I'm saying is that now we get used to this kind of speak right before the federal government comes in and oversteps its bounds, oversteps its limits by leaps and bounds. This happens all the time. And when you have the federal government coming into New Hampshire to buy up land because they want to protect the dwarf wedge mussel in the case of federal land grabs under Fish and Wildlife, you have,
for the benefit of future generations,
you have the federal government buying a car company with your money because we feel that the economy is going to tank if we don't own a car company.
Well, they've been buying car companies for 30 years.
Thank you. We did buy Plymouth Chrysler before we bought GM. But we hear these little things, and I think it's natural for people to get concerned. And yeah, I even think it's healthy that people do immediately leap to that conclusion that, what's this going to mean? We're going to have DHS troops outside of election headquarters? I can imagine a million scenarios where that may not be improbable. What if we have violence, escalating violence during this election season? Is that a possibility? Anyone? Do you think
there's already been violence during this election season? There was the guy that got punched in the face by some angry white dude at a Trump rally.
Absolutely.
And then Donald Trump said like they should have lynched him or something.
Yeah, and you've had Donald Trump supporters being beat on by supporters of, I guess, from Hillary or the Democrats.
The Party of Peace.
The Party of Peace. That's happened too. So is it that unreasonable to think that we could see some expansion of federal presence during elections if they feel that, A, this is a critical part of our country and it deserves our protection, and B, we must make sure that our elections go through safely? Now, I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying for a lot of people out there that are sick and tired of watching Washington expand like the multi-headed hydra that it is, it wouldn't come as a shock.
In order to make this happen, Johnson's going to have to get on this. He's going to have to set something up. There's going to have to be some serious voter fraud found out, or a lynching right out in front of at a polling place. If he really wants us to stick, he's going to have to set something up. So we'll see. We'll see how seriously is this election season whenever something serious happens. Something crazy
I guess
happens.
one of the reasons that I sort of dismissed the whole, it's going to be martial law, is I've been hearing that for damn near 20 years.
Sure.
The president's going to declare martial law. There's not going to be an election, and there's going to be government troops, and they're going to make sure that nobody casts a ballot, and blah, 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 blah.
These things are cyclical. Martial law is going to happen. It might not happen in our lifetimes. It might not happen in the next 20 years.
Then don't say it's happening in 6 months.
I didn't say that.
You didn't, but other people I've been hearing for the last 20 years, in 6 months, the government's going to declare martial law.
Okay, I think that's a little off, maybe.
Yes, it's a little off.
But it will happen, and it will happen in small little increments like this.
To happen.
Yeah.
It's possible, but to say that it definitively will is absolutely absurd and asinine, and you don't know that it will.
I think anybody who
know that it will.
Studies history is going to have to admit that, yes, revolutions do occur in countries with some regularity. It's going to happen here again. Do you think this constitutional system that we have set up, this system of government, is going to last for eternity?
No. I hope that every state secedes tomorrow. It's not very likely.
Yeah, and I hope it all comes about peacefully. I really do. I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
So, are the chances, on a scale of, somewhat likely to absolutely never? Yes, it's closer to somewhat likely that at some point in the future, the United States of America will cease to exist. It's somewhat likely that the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland will cease to exist.
Sure.
But it's not a guarantee.
No, not at all. But I'm saying when people feel threatened, they act irrationally. And I think our government is beginning to feel more and more threatened each time. So let's flip over to the Politico story. The federal government wants to help states keep hackers from manipulating the November election amid growing fears that the U.S. political system is vulnerable. But Georgia's top election official is balking at the offers of assistance and accusing the Obama administration of using exaggerated warnings of cyber threats to intrude on states' authority. Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp's objection add to the bumpy start for the Department of Homeland Security's attempt to shore up safeguards for the election during a summer when cyber attacks at the Democratic National Committee have called attention to weaknesses across the electoral system. Cybersecurity experts call for tougher protections, long overdue for parties, political advocacy groups, and voting machinery, but DHS's effort risk being caught in the same partisan arguments about state sovereignty that have hung up programs such as President Barack Obama's Medicaid expansion.
Now, just one thing that I want to point out as a reminder to people that think that it's only the Democrats that want to, overstep the bounds. It was actually George Bush and a Republican Congress that pushed through the Help America Vote Act that had all of these unfunded mandates to the states of you have to run your election this way.
I'll see your Help America vote, and I'll raise you one DHS because we wouldn't have had that monstrosity without George W. Bush. Who I voted for.
I am sorry to hear that. Your calls and thoughts, welcome. Hour 3 coming up next, 855 450 free. Plus, we've got Skype. Username is LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $18.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,303 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $578. Antiwar.com reports, adding to international criticism of Israel's construction in the occupied West Bank, the government of Israel has approved several hundred additional homes in the settlement there, both approving plans for 284 new homes to be constructed and retroactively legalizing some 179 homes built in violation of Israeli law in the Ofaram settlement. The new plans were criticized by Israeli watchdog Peace Now, saying that the current government is building settlements all over the West Bank and also sending the message that illegal settlements can continue to be built and be expected to be legalized after the fact. The U.S. State Department issued a statement saying that they were deeply concerned by the acceleration of settlement construction and in particular about the growing trend towards retroactive legalization, allowing Israel to expand settlement activity in a potentially unlimited way. The far-right government's trend towards retroactive legalization as a matter of course is indeed fueling a boom in pirate outposts, with self-described entrepreneurs bragging about going hilltop to hilltop in the Palestinian territory, tossing up a few trailers, and then waiting a few months for Israel to retroactively legalize the takeover of the land that the settlers never had any pretense of owning in the first place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports a state of emergency was declared in Hawaii Wednesday as the South Pacific Islands brace for Hurricane Madeline's impact. The storm is losing strength, but is still listed as a Category 1 hurricane, according to forecasters. On Wednesday afternoon, Governor David Ige declared an emergency for his islands. On Wednesday night, residents were making preparations for the storm, which was expected to pass close by and perhaps make landfall on the Big Island of Hawaii. The Hurricane Center projects the storm to graze South Point on the Big Island, but a direct hit is also possible. The American Red Cross of Hawaii opened more than a dozen emergency shelters on the Big Island to accommodate those displaced by Madeline. On Wednesday afternoon, forecasters reported that Madeline was about 70 miles southeast of the Hawaiian shore and about 90 miles southeast of Hilo and was moving westward at 13 miles per hour. A hurricane warning and flash flood watch were issued for Hawaii Island. Weather Underground forecasters predicted up to 15 inches of rain in some parts of the Big Island and up to 4 inches in Maui. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the first scheduled commercial passenger flight from the United States to Cuba in more than half a century landed on Wednesday, opening another chapter in the Obama administration's efforts to improve ties and increase trade and travel with the former Cold War foe. A JetBlue Airways passenger jet arrived from Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara. The route may be a commercial challenge, at least initially, but it is the first of a plethora of new flights by various U.S. airlines to destinations in the communist-ruled island. U.S. Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, other officials, and journalists were aboard the 150-seat plane. Regular travelers, including some of Cuban descent, occupied nearly half of the seats on the flight to Santa Clara, a city with a population of about 200,000 people that is known for its monument to revolutionary leader Ernesto Che Guevara. While opening travel to cities like Santa Clara is seen as a foot in the door to expanding travel to some of the Cuban provinces, the market's big prize is routes to Havana, which Fox awarded on Wednesday. American Airlines was awarded the biggest portion. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry noted in a Twitter message that the flight took place just over a year after the flag was raised at the reopened U.S. Embassy in Havana. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Gilman's Hardware is a local business with a very special story. Although small and family-owned, the storefront operation has managed to consistently exploit and debase its workers just as if they were members of a giant multinational corporation.
From the moment I started the store 6 years ago, I wanted to make sure that every employee here at Gilman's felt like they were nothing more than a cog in a giant machine, just as if they had worked at one of our larger corporate competitors.
Den Blaker said that despite having only 10 employees and a single location, he's managed to implement a number of unique policies to significantly reduce employee morale, including forbidding sales clerks to sit down during lengthy shifts, reducing their number of days with paid time off, and insisting on humiliating pat-downs during lunch breaks to ensure they never felt like trusted or valued employees.
Other small businesses might have given me benefits or, let me take a day off. But everyone here at Gilman's does their best to treat you like you're a totally replaceable tool for generating profit.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Darryl.
And Conan.
And let's just go ahead and jump into your calls. We have a call on Skype. Username is LRN.FM. James, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thought.
Chris, I'd like to talk to you about blowback.
All right.
If you have an open mind.
I do.
Because Conan, I never call in to agree with anybody on your show. So it's funny being accused of being closed-minded by one of your co-hosts, Chris. The very first question Minister Perry ever asked me is, Whit, did you ever hear a blowback? On the very first time I called in with him in one of those chairs on March 23rd, 2014. I invite you to listen to that conversation because it's stunning in the stupidity and disgracefulness of what Darryl W. Perry accused me of saying when you can listen to the tape.
Okay.
Well, I was on
So
twice.
you're still upset about something that happened
Yes,
2.5
because you
years
never
ago.
apologized. It was the first time I ever called in.
James Whittakind, if I upset you, I am sorry. Go ahead and ask Chris your question. Otherwise, I will dump you.
Come on, James. Let's have a conversation.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris,
go ahead.
What's this? One of the mottos of this show is to call in to talk about anything you want to talk about. And then I instantly get bashed by one of the so-called ministers for talking about I want to talk about, which is something he said.
Don't do that. You just call names. That's all
Okay,
you do.
right on. No, I didn't. And I didn't start it.
Okay.
He accused me of wanting to commit genocide and nuking the Middle East, and he's yet to apologize for that. Because he's not a minister.
I just apologized!
Hold on. Let me... Damn it.
I didn't dump him. I just muted him.
Okay, well, all I was going to say was, James, I mean, I get it. Free Talk Live is Free Talk Live. But if it's just bringing up things that have been said in the past, it's not going to further the conversation at all. It just makes everybody upset. Darryl gets upset. Conan gets upset. You
and
get
here's
upset.
the thing,
So let's
James,
just have a conversation.
Here's the thing. I've attempted to apologize to you numerous times. If I upset you, I am sorry. I really am. So stop calling in to say that I've never apologized when I'm apologizing right now.
I can quote you just 2 weeks ago, Darryl W. Perry. Again, you...
Oh, come on. Now, I thought you were going to talk to me.
No, he is not talking to anybody.
Oh, man.
Not. We gave him a chance, and he wants to just bring... You said 2 weeks, and you never apologized. I just apologized. Well, 2 weeks ago, you didn't. Well, I just apologized again, James.
Okay. So let me just throw this out there, and hopefully James is still listening, that next Thursday, when I'm on again, James, please call in so you and I can have a rational conversation about blowback. What I would ask is that you call in, you ask for me, you and I talk. These two guys, they'll stay out of it.
Yep.
As long as he doesn't mention either me or Conan, I'll keep him on the line.
Yeah, if you want to have a conversation with me about the topic, have a conversation with me. We'll pretend like it's the Chris show and you're a caller. That works for me.
Right now we've got Dave in New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, last week I had called in to tell you about a case of a federal officer in New Hampshire who had, like an ICE agent, who had committed a crime pretty similar to one that was committed by a liberty activist some years back. And we were talking about, whether the treatment would be comparable, because the liberty activist got about 30 months in jail. Well, anyway, that activist, known popularly as Firecracker Joe within the community, also his last name is Rue, Joe Rue. He apparently died 4 days ago.
Sorry to hear that.
This is according to a post on nhfree.com. Apparently, he was partying or something like that, and he died after the party, and that's about all we know. But I went to his Facebook page today, and there were people posting what you would expect them to be posting. If a friend had died, he was probably about 55.
Is this about Joe, or is this about the ICE agent who didn't seem to get? He seemed to get some better treatment because of his position.
No, actually, it's about Joe. And the ICE agent, we don't know yet whether he'll be treated better or worse. So far, he's being treated roughly the same. But it's something that I thought we should be watching. And I had called Joe just 2 weeks ago to get the to get the details straight about what the status of this case was. And so it just seems really weird having just talked to him. He seemed so happy. He was out. He was a trucker, and he wasn't in New Hampshire when I called him. So I don't know if he was in New Hampshire when he died.
So what are you hoping that people will be able to do, or are you just passing on the info about someone had passed away?
I just think when one of our own dies, it shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be too forgotten. They shouldn't be ignored. Someone should at least know that it happened.
Dave, thank you for the call. Let's go to Rudy calling in from Arizona, listening to K-Talks. Rudy, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Chris, and Conan. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey guys, happy evening. Boy, that James guy, he sure, believe me, he's listening. This guy is obsessed with you. But anyway, back to the voting. Have you heard of a site called Black Box Voting? It's by Bev Harris. She's the greatest expert in electronic voting in the country. She's been around for 20 years, and she loves.
Really breaking up.
We're starting to lose you, Rudy. Are you on a cell phone?
No, I'm on a $7 track phone. Is that any better?
A little bit. Go ahead. We started losing you right after you asked if we had heard of Black Box Voting, and I've heard of the site, but I'm not really familiar with it.
Yeah, you ought to check it out. And in Australia, they have electronic voting also. But what they did was they didn't worry about the priority of the software. They gave the code to everybody, and they all got together and they all agreed that that's the safest it could possibly be, unhackable. But in America, we've got like a company called Diebold.
Sure. Oh yeah, they keep their code under lock and key to where nobody can see it but them.
Yeah, so Australia open sources their software. That's interesting.
And before the 2004 election, the Diebold company actually said that they were going to deliver the state of Ohio for George Bush. And do you know that in that election, the one state that decided the presidency was Ohio? Yeah.
Go figure.
So, check.
I would like to see, some kind of proof to the claim that Diebold said that they were going to give the election to George Bush. Rudy, thanks for the call. Let's go to, we got Ricky and Sarah. Chris, tell me which one you want.
Flip a coin. I like to talk to everybody.
Let's go with Sarah. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to mention that, we just started tearing up Central Boulevard.
Why did you start tearing up the boulevard?
Well, because the rapid transit, we're going to build it now.
You're going out to build it?
No, Darryl, you're being facetious.
No, I'm not.
Okay, then why did you say that you are tearing up a boulevard and building a rapid transit when you're not the one involved?
She said we.
She would say the same thing if it was her sports team and she was scoring the goal.
That's okay. But Sarah, I get where you're coming from. So the city of Albuquerque?
Yeah, so, the thing is, what I wanted to say was just this construction project alone is creating jobs already. It's we got job creation.
And people could be paid to go dig a ditch and then fill it in tomorrow, and there would be job creation. Just because a job is created does not mean that it's, one, a productive job, or two, a job that's actually beneficial to anybody other than the person that is being hired.
Correct. So, Sarah, let me ask you this. If I took money from you, took $100 from you and I hired somebody for $100 to do something, would you call that creating a job?
Yeah, but there's a purpose behind it.
Hold your thought, Sarah.
Hold on, we'll carry this over.
Hold your thought. We'll bring you back. 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Know that sound? That's the sound of trouble for CPAP users. Did you know that just one drop of water in your CPAP system can become a breeding ground for mold and bacteria? Breathe that stuff in and you're battling respiratory infections, allergy attacks, and more. But here's good news. SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's the healthier way to clean your system because it kills 99.9% of germs in minutes. For a limited time, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-951-9693. SoClean makes cleaning your CPAP a breeze. It's completely hands-free. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Don't let one drop of water wreak havoc on your body. Call SoClean.com now for your risk-free trial while supplies last. 1-800-951-9693. That's 1-800-951-9693.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP?
We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Teens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to your calls here in just a moment. But first, want to make sure that I tell you about the amazing deal that you can get from Vistaprint when you use code FTL. You can get 500 business cards starting at only $9.99. Now, you can customize these things completely, and some of the customizations, might wind up having an added charge. So you can get like silver leaf, gold leaf around the edges to sort of spruce it up a little bit, make it look fancier. You can use their templates. You can upload your own design. I've used the Vistaprint for business cards previously, and they're good quality, same quality that you would get from pretty much anywhere that does business cards. But again, use code FTL, get 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. They have other things. They've got T-shirts, they've got banners, basically anything that you think that you might need for your business or organization, you can get from Vistaprint.com. Use code FTL. Let's go back to Sarah. Chris, you had asked Sarah a question. She called in to say that we, being some mythical group of people in Albuquerque, We are tearing up the boulevard and building a rapid transit, and it is creating jobs. You asked the question of if you stole money from Sarah to pay somebody to do something, would that, one, be beneficial to the economy, and two, would it be creating a job? Is that basically the question that you asked?
In a nutshell, Sarah, I mean, basically what I'm asking is it really job creation if we take money from people and then say, here's a job and give it to somebody else? Is that what you consider job creation?
Well, the thing is, we have the $69 million federal dollars coming to Albuquerque. And a lot of that,
so $69 million were stolen from people in New Hampshire and New York and California and Arizona and the rest of the country and given to the city government of Albuquerque.
Because that's how it works, right, Sarah?
Well, but here's the thing is, what's so stolen when all the other cities about our size, they already have electric trolleys,
right.
Far more.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't. I guess what I'm sort of challenging the principle that it's a good thing for the federal government to decide, number one, that we need to take up to half of what everybody makes. That's the first step. And second, that the federal government in Washington, D.C. can pick and choose where that money is best spent.
Right. They can spread it around to the projects that they believe we need.
Sure. And all I'm saying is that really, do you think that's fair? And I'm all for.
You know why?
Go ahead.
Because look at this. Look at Austin, Texas, Dallas.
Forget all of that. Let's not talk about everybody else. Let's just talk about your situation in your town.
Well, we don't have anything like that. So
okay.
That's not the question. The question isn't whether or not Albuquerque has something. The question is whether or not it's beneficial to steal money from one group of people and give it to another group of people.
To get something that your neighbors have because are you envious that your neighbors have these projects and you feel it's necessary to steal from us in order to
Conan
fund,
and Chris both have trailers.
Wait. How come they stole money, even more money, putting electric trolley lines from the federal government 20, 30 years ago, and it's taking us 30 years to build it?
They were wrong then, and they're wrong now.
We always be at the bottom totem pole to get federal money to build anything nice.
And that's what I think, Sarah. This is the challenge of trying to come up with arguments supporting this type of thing, that the money isn't going to go exactly where you want, despite what politicians may tell you, that, we did tell you guys in Albuquerque that we were going to build you a nice high-speed rail or something like that, but you know what? We really decided that all that money that we took is really better off going to Austin, Texas.
We're going to build you a slow-speed
money, right?
We're going to build you a slow-speed trolley and put red light cameras. But of course, Sarah, you love red light cameras,
but
right?
How about this, Sarah? How about if you guys wanted a high-speed rail in Albuquerque, and how about if the government there said, you know what, we've got plans, we've got all the land all ready to go. It's going to cost, $100 million to build or something like that. But to do it, we're going to ask the citizens that live along that route, that are going to be able to use it to commute with, and we're going to ask businesses that would be able to get more employees to their places, and shops and things like that. We're going to ask them to pay for it. And matter of fact, we're going to take out a loan to do part of it, and the money that we collect in fees is going to go to pay back that loan.
Or how about an even better option? If this is such a great idea, how about allow the free market to do this? Let them collect the money. And if it's such a great idea, it will work, it will get off the ground, and it will pay for itself over time. Whereas if this federal spending is concerned, it's probably a project that's not necessary, it's not real, and it can only work it can only work if it's subsidized by the federal government.
So Sarah, go ahead.
Everybody else got federal grants.
Everybody else is getting stolen money. That doesn't make it right, Sarah. Thank you for the cult. Just because everybody else gets stolen money doesn't mean that it's right or okay to steal money.
And there are a lot of ways a program like that could be structured. And Sarah, I just hope I could get through to on some small level one of these days.
And all right, and if we were just to keep that money, if you and I and Chris were to keep that money here in New Hampshire and not send it off to the federal government so that they can subsidize and redistribute it to the projects that they feel that we need, how would we instead spend that money that we keep in our pockets? We would probably spend it on things that are important to us, that actually matter to us, things that will work in the end.
Oh, you mean the footbridge that goes over the highway?
The $2.3 million stupid footbridge.
But Conan, the community wanted that. They raised $100,000.
This community would have never paid for that if they had paid the entire $2.3 million.
But they raised $100,000. That means
maybe
they
100.
really, really want it.
That bridge should have only been worth $100,000.
They could have had a rope bridge for that kind of money.
And now they're building another bridge going over the other thing that is kind of like a highway.
And this one is state-funded, and that bridge would never exist if it wasn't state-funded. So it's all about the stolen money. It's all about getting that fat back to the community, and it's just horrible. You have people in local government, in municipalities here, who that's their primary goal. That's all they do is they're constantly throwing out the net to get grant money back into this community, and it's horrible.
And you can hear Conan rant and rave about local things on his new show on
CitizenKane.org.
Sundays
8 to 9.
Well, that's right during Free Talk Live, but I'm guessing it will also be up on YouTube. CitizenKane.org. Kane spelled C-A-I-N. We'll be back with your calls, 855-450 free.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims that the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? It all began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn, available at Amazon Books.
Hi folks, GetTheTea.com is the place where the popular Life Change tea calls home. But did you know Get the Tea is also where you can purchase GMO-free organic supplements? You can read about their potent power at GetTheTea.com. Also, they just added a YouTube channel called Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Education about our health can be a life change. Maybe that's why our famous tea is called Life Change Tea. Learn about the trees for life. Our supplements have no fillers, no wheat, no rice, no garbage. And our tea is wow to the body. Make a conscious health change. Educate yourself on the most powerful essence of life, which is your health. You want more? Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Or visit our YouTube channel at Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. And don't forget our fabulous mild detox tea at GetTheTea.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
If you're a parent, chances are you know all about the Spooky Truth books, with subjects ranging from shadowy fraternal organizations to mind-controlling TV shows. Kids can't get enough of this series of short, scary children's novels.
And Spooky Truth author K.L. Graves is joining us this morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, my kids just love these books. In just 4 years, you've put out 25 books. It came from Tower 7, Curse of the Chemtrails, The Zionist Who Cried Holocaust.
Now, this stuff has really been catching on. Over 40 million copies sold, so many bestsellers out there.
I've been thrilled. Before this series, I was self-publishing pamphlets and handing them out on the train. Now I get emails from teachers and parents all the time telling me that my books are all their kids can talk about.
Oh, well, it's true. My son used to hate to read. Now he's holed up in the basement with these Spooky Truth books all day and night. Says he never watches TV, doesn't even want tap water anymore. He just loves reading so much.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris, and Conan.
We'll get back to your calls here in just a moment, but first want to make sure that I tell you about Liberland, the European micronation. You've heard of it, right? It's that little 3 square mile plot of land between Serbia and Croatia. Well, recently, 7 Polish legislators proposed recognition of the validity of Liberland as an actual nation, and recognition of the libertarian micronation is a top priority, and it's really just a matter of keeping their name in the news and being determined. They're good at both. The Chicago Journal of International Law just released a 35-page essay making a case for statehood for Liberland. And Roger Ver, the owner of Bitcoin.com, you've probably heard of him referred to as Bitcoin Jesus. He has come out with both stated and financial support for Liberland. And Liberland has said many times that Bitcoin is the base of their economy. Now, Liberland has been very popular. Over 100,000 people have requested citizenship. But again, Liberland is very small. It's only about 3 square miles. So to qualify for citizenship, you must substantially contribute to the growth of Liberland. Go to liberland.org to learn more. Let's go back to the phones, 855-450-FREE. We've got Ricky calling in from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Brother Darryl, I love you. Brother Conan, Brother Chris. Good evening.
Do you not love them?
Good evening. No, he said he did.
I love you too. We love everybody. Remember, peace. Remember how it is? Love and understanding. That's how we achieve peace.
Yes.
You know?
Go ahead with your
You know what
thoughts.
I'd love to see? Well, you know what I'd love to see?
What's
You know
that?
what a Jeffersonian looks at? What he'd like to see? People want to redo history. And people like Donald Trump trying to redo history, running as Alexander Hamilton. Hey, here's an idea. How about a reunification of the states? How about that? How about a
How does that work? Tell us about it.
How were we unified before?
Well, it fell apart as soon as it came together. See, the problem is with federalism, the difference. You guys covered that, so I ain't going to retread, but they want a single unified state. It goes like this. Through unification of the states under strict federalist control, then you, I guess that means me, and you, Brother Darryl and Conan and Chris, can enjoy and experience. Doesn't mean you actually can get freedom and independence, but you can experience.
I would like to experience secession. How do you feel about secession there, Ricky?
Well, I was talking to somebody from Texas 2 years ago. See, the secessionist movement ain't new, and I think that's what Ian's kind of mad at me about, because I've been part of that movement because I'm in an independent, sovereign commonwealth. I was talking to somebody from Texas over 2 years ago when they were first trying to secede. And I remember I could only say so much then because it was still early.
So you were talking to somebody in the 1860s when Texas seceded from the United States?
No, somebody in Texas 2 years ago, Darryl. Come on.
Well, you said when they first tried to secede. They tried to secede in the 1860s.
No, 2 years ago I talked to somebody, and I said, you know what? Keep trying. If we can't do it this generation, do it the next. And they asked me for help here in PA. I said, not yet. I can't help. But in the future, I can. See, here's what it comes down to. You know, as a Jeffersonian, I have a very interesting point of view with this. I've had an interesting point of view for the past couple of years. So have all the
You definitely have an interesting point of view. So as a Jeffersonian, I've got a question for you. What are your thoughts on the Louisiana Purchase?
My thoughts on it? Okay. First of all, my thoughts on it are very simple. It was a good deal, but at the time, this is the issue right now. If you look at the modern day Republicans, I'm talking 20% of the core. 10% are the damn Federalists. See, before the fragmentation of the 1824, see, those Republicans were indecisive. They weren't sure if it was a good deal or not. You know, these are not the Democratic Republicans. These are the same Republicans afterwards. Do I think it was a good deal? Hell yes, because you know what? You know, when it comes down to it, you know, Jefferson was right. You know, the territories, the power in the people. That's what we have here. Now, the whole world can't move to PA, okay, because it'd be like North Korea, you know. But one thing that can happen, the back door, as I call it. See, here's
hold on. So how would Pennsylvania turn into North Korea if the entire world, not that the entire world wants to move to Pennsylvania, but if the entire world moved to Pennsylvania, how would Pennsylvania turn into North Korea? Would there be this 2.5 mile wide demilitarized zone on the border of Maryland and New Jersey and New York and Ohio?
Well, you know what it would be? It would be, what would happen is you'd have 2.2 billion people, and PA bigger than New Jersey and got a way better. Well, no, they don't. They don't fit in North Korea. But see here, North Korea got an economy.
North Korea doesn't have 2.2 billion people either. But actually, I've looked at maps, and if you pack people in tight enough,
New Jersey.
They say they all fit in Texas. The entire population.
They would all fit in Texas and have plenty of room if they were spread out about the way that Paris is.
The problem is their economy.
If you packed everybody in as tight as they are in Hong Kong, then everybody would fit in like Louisiana and Arkansas.
Yeah, the problem with fitting everyone in Texas is the plumbing. That would be nasty.
Well, see, here's my answer to all this, gentlemen. You see, you know, the point is, imagine this. See, when a programmer programs a system, right? Now, he always has a back door in case he gets locked out of his system. Now, for over 250 years, from 1776 and before, it was protected. Pennsylvania was the back door. We opposed Amendment 14. We threw away the Constitution of the United States of America with Jefferson and the others, anti-federalists. The same with the Bill of Rights, too. I mean, let's face it. It comes down to this. You know, this is a little rap that I do when I run around. It goes like this. You know, Jefferson, he wanted something, you know, and, the Federalists, and they said, we need something. He said, what do you need, Tom? He said, I don't know. Don't know what it is, but you know what? We need something. So they wrote it. Constitution of the United States of America. They throw it down here, read them. And he's like, it's no good. It's no good. I said, no, it's good, Tom. It's damn good. It's damn good. No, wait a minute. We worked very hard on this. We need something. And then he said, what do you need? I don't know. I said, no, Tom, I think you had enough. No, we need something. They throw it down. Bill of Rights. I just mentioned PA. Jefferson had the same problem. Amendment 14, forget it. We need something. He said, no, Tom, we don't need nothing. We had enough. Okay, we're good. It's damn good. He said, it's not good. We need something. You can't have nothing. He said, I got something. What do you got?
The Louisiana Purchase. Ricky, thank you for the call. I don't know where you were going with that.
All I know is we got
apparently
Bourbon Street.
It was good.
That's got to be, I'm going to go back over that. I'm going to put that to a beat. That was great.
And
the Jefferson rap.
The Louisiana Purchase, I think, was probably one of the absolute worst things that ever happened
to individual sovereignty, because it just increased the size of the federal government.
Well, it increased the size of the United States, and it really, I honestly believe that the Louisiana Purchase is what put the United States of America into empire mode. Because spread west of the Mississippi, and then we've got to get more. We need more. It's like a heroin junkie. You need more. You need more. You just need a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then the next thing you know.
This is interesting because I've never really given the Louisiana Purchase much thought, and I've certainly never debated it, and certainly not with you, but it seemed like a heck of a deal. You got a lot of natural resources, and you got room for the country to grow.
Yeah, tearing up the boulevard in Albuquerque to build a rapid transit seems like a hell of a deal. It's free money.
No, I get it. We should talk about that.
And spreading empire into Africa for all those good resources, it's the same thing. So as far as the federal government is concerned, these are great deals. These are great moves.
Your calls and thoughts welcome here in the closing moments of Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. I'll be on the ballot for president in all 50 states. If a Democrat is elected president, if a Republican is elected president, in 4 years, we will still be at war. America will be 4 years deeper in debt. We will have 4 more years of rising taxes, bigger government, crony capitalism instead of free markets, and less freedom. How do we know this? Because that's what both parties keep delivering. If you're an optimist, you know that one day America will have its act together. One day we won't be at war. One day taxes will be fair. One day our social and economic challenges will be conquered, not by force, but by cooperation and mutual respect. To the independent majority of Americans who feel as I do, I say, why wait one more day?
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks on Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks on Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks on Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks on Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio on demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can possibly get on if you call in right now. Again, 855-450-FREE. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And we were discussing, and I wanted to get into this North Korea story, but there definitely is not time to get into that. But we were discussing the cost-benefit analysis, if you will, of this thing that it was a great deal, the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah, so I guess my only thought of it, and this is a very high level and probably a very uneducated thought, was, okay, well, we had a bunch of states. We had a newly formed country. And there's the rest of this continent kind of off to the left. Yeah, there are some Indians there, but we've been able to trade with them, and when we've been able to work with them before, why not pick up this large tract of land from a willing buyer, which was
you mean a willing seller?
Willing seller,
and double the size of the current state.
Yeah. Now I get all the complaints against the existence of a state in the first place and against imperialism, but I just don't see a direct correlation between something like that and invading another country. This was sort of unclaimed land.
Not necessarily unclaimed. It was claimed by France.
Right.
And France sold it for an amount of money.
Right.
And then, again, when I say that put the U.S. into empire mode, I don't want to, make it sound like, and then the United States immediately invaded somewhere. But a decade later, the U.S. did try to invade Canada, and that's what the War of 1812 was fought over. Now, here in the U.S., we're not told that the U.S. military tried to invade Canada, but that's what actually happened. And so, you could say that because of this manifest destiny that people were promoting back then, we have to go from sea to shining sea, and that means everything.
Well, they had already written the song, Darryl.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem.
They did.
Yeah. They'd already written the lyrics, so now they had to get the country to make the song work.
And
otherwise it wouldn't work.
And if you didn't stand during that song and put your hand over your heart, you got beat. Wasn't just this talk on social media. They actually took you out back and strapped you to a pole and they beat on you.
You know what? Since you mentioned that, I think we will jump briefly into the North Korea thing. But, I still think that the Louisiana Purchase, overall, a bad thing. Because I think that, the United States of America is way too large. And North America should have more than 3 countries. And yes, I know Central America is technically part of North America, and there's more than 3. But when people think of North America, they think Mexico, United States, Canada.
Yep.
And, the size of the United States, you really could have probably 10 countries very easily.
It's too big.
No, I think my feeling would be a more accurate criticism is that we have grown too large. So, yeah, maybe the Louisiana Purchase
and we would not have
that.
grown so large had the Louisiana Purchase never happened.
No, you might have had 10 separate or 13 or 15 or 20 different countries that would have all grown and filled in, and it would be very different. I'm not going to speak on this much because I've never given it much thought, but I am going to give it some thought. Thank you, Darryl.
Yeah, and I love this sort of alternate history sort of thing of if this never would have happened, then what? So I'm a huge fan of the YouTube channel, the Alternate History Hub. to where they'll go through and look at different scenarios of what would the world be like if this didn't happen.
What would have happened if Hitler was never born, Daryl? Did they cover that one?
I don't know if they covered that, but they have talked about if World War I didn't happen and if European imperialism into Africa didn't happen and if the Russian Revolution didn't happen, if the American Revolution would have ended a different way or not happened. But I don't know if they've covered one specifically of if Hitler was never born. But since you did talk about what happened a long time ago if somebody didn't show proper reverence during the singing of a song, well, in North Korea, I can tell you what happens, and you can probably guess. Yep, you get executed, even if you're the vice premier. North Korea executed a vice premier for showing disrespect to dictator Kim Jong-un, and they banished 2 other top officials for ideological training, according to the South Korean government.
Wait, hold on now. So they're dying to get out of there. So where do they... that might be the way to go. If you want to get out of North Korea, just get banished, right? Unless it's to the top of a mountain in North Korea.
It's banished to one of the fun camps to where you and your entire family winds up going for 2 or 3 generations for re-education. Just a little bit more, and then we will go to the phone. According to the official at the South Korean Unification Ministry, Kim Yong-jin, the vice premier for education, was interrogated after slouching during a meeting of parliament in June, presided over by Kim Jong-un. The 63-year-old vice premier was accused of being an anti-revolutionary element and executed by firing squad, according to military officials. And
it wasn't do that again.
It wasn't just regular guns that they used. They didn't go out with 30-06. They went out with anti-aircraft guns to execute this guy by firing squad.
Did they film it?
Okay. I mean, so we're talking like 20, 30 Mike rounds. That's...
Even the gun guy in the room's like, that's a little extreme. Let's go to the phones.
God.
We've got Andrew calling in from Arizona. Andrew, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, as far as the Louisiana Purchase, I know you guys are trying to get off, but it seems immoral, especially when you're talking about the indigenous people. Where do they come into effect? How does the state of France receive this land? I don't know. I'm no expert on it. But
France claimed the land the same way that Spain claimed most of Central America, and that was through explorers going and planting flags. It's the same way that England claimed a lot of land with explorers and pilgrims going and planting flags. It's the same way that the state of Connecticut claimed everything at one time, going to the Mississippi River by just saying, all of that over there is ours.
If you've ever played the board game Risk, when you first start the game, everyone just puts their pieces down on their favorite
flag.
countries. That's how Louisiana was
okay,
first.
So Congo was a protectorate of Belgium because the king just said, that big chunk of land is mine.
Yep.
Not I'm claiming it for Belgium. That is my personal piece of land.
Retirement land.
Akin to my castle. Chris?
So I was going to say, I mean, I've always found Tom Woods an interesting guy. But I believe he wrote the Politically Incorrect Guide to American History a few years back.
Yes.
And I thought it was really interesting that he talked a lot about trade with the Indians in the early years of our country, and that what asset did the Indians have that they wished to trade, our indigenous people, and it was land. They really couldn't kind of wrap their head around why they would own it, and if somebody wanted to buy it, then why not?
Right. Their understanding of land was, we use this land a little bit of the year, and somebody else uses the land a little bit of the year, and then we come back and we use the land again. And these weird white people, they want to use the land some of the year? Okay.
Tom Woods asserted
they're not letting us come use the land. That's not what we thought the agreement was.
Yeah. But what I'm saying go ahead, I'm sorry.
Really. It's that divine right of king where all these states declare, okay, I mean, maybe they made agreements with the indigenous people, and maybe the indigenous people thought, oh, this is just, for the summer season or something like that. But it just seems like, hey, maybe there was someone there before the Native Americans or the Native, it's not American, wherever they call themselves.
Right. If I would have made a similar agreement with Conan for a lawnmower, then that would be called theft by deception, and I would probably be in prison right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not a good deal because it's immoral on the basis of theft and force. So it can never be a good deal. It's like a good deal, like Northrop Grumman gets good deals with the U.S. military to make bombs.
Yeah. Right. And it's the same kind of good deal, Andrew, thank you for the call, that Sarah called in about in Albuquerque, to where, well, the feds are just giving us money to tear up this road and put in a rapid transit, and everybody else has rapid transit.
Everybody else got the money.
Everybody else got money that was stolen from Peter to pay Paul. I want some of that money, too, because it's absolutely free.
Oh, I love free things.
We'll be back tomorrow, as we are every night of the week, and we're always online at freetalklive.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,307 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $18.69 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $570 US. Silver is at its lowest price in 2 months, making for a great opportunity to buy more. Give Robertson Roberts a call today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
The live edition of Flaming Freedom is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio